Hey everybody, I'm back here again with another Virtual World deck profile. This time I did want to show off my P.U.N.K Virtual World build. This one's a little bit on the different side than what you might have seen online or maybe some other people's deck lists. I've actually chosen not to play Crystron Halqifibrax or the Auroradon Deskbot combo. There's a couple of reasons for that. I'll go over that during the course of the deck profile. Want to get into the card by card, and I'll explain some of my choices, and then once we get into the extra deck, I'll explain kind of my thought process behind not playing Halq Auroradon. It is a very powerful combo. A lot of the top decks right now are playing Crystron Halqifibrax and Auroradon. One of the big problems with Virtual World is the hand effects do restrict us out of playing Link monsters after we've activated them. So for our deck, the Crystron Halqifibrax combo actually has to happen before you do any sort of hand effect or anything like that. One of the reasons why I think the Crystron Halqifibrax and other cards similar to it, like Predaplant Vert Anaconda, are really powerful is because you can do your normal things and then get interacted with and then pivot into those combos for additional value. Virtual World doesn't have that privilege. There is some unique synergy with Cupid Pitch and some of the other things. I've chosen not to play those just because I think it opens us up to hand traps we wouldn't otherwise lose to. And I've actually played this version of the P.U.N.K in order to better insulate us from hand traps, other sorts of interaction, and kind of supplement our already existing powerful cards. So let me get into the card by card really quick. By this point, you're probably really familiar with the Virtual World monsters if you watch any of my other deck profiles. We're, of course, playing 3 of all 4 of the hand effects. Lulu, Gigi, Lily, and of course Lau. I wouldn't cut down on any of these in this version. We don't have any supplementary engines that really demand extra deck space, like the Sword Soul package, so you don't need to trim on Lau. He still can be kind of bricky, but he's a very powerful card. We have some other ways to get Virtual World names on the field through our little sub-engine, and also our sub-engine does overlap really well with Emergency Teleport. This deck has kind of a focus on level 3 monsters more than your most common Virtual World lists do. So I have chosen to play 2 Nian Yan. I think in the past I've liked having 1 Nian Yan, but in this version, having that level 3 non-tuner that turns into a tuner later is really impactful, and we do like the extra grind game that that second copy gives us. So I would play this ratio. You can play the 2-2, but I've chosen to play 2 Nian Yan instead. Now we'll get onto the P.U.N.K cards really fast. So the P.U.N.K cards, people have seen a lot of different ratios. This is what I've chosen to play. I want to shout out somebody from the Virtual World Discord that actually explained this combination to me, and I really like the idea behind it. Shout out to Rossum on the Virtual World Discord. So I actually play 3 level 8 P.U.N.K monsters. I play Ogre Dance and 2 Foxy Tune. To explain these cards really quick, we also play the 2 Zeamin. The level 8s have hand effects to discard themselves in order to do something with non-level 8 P.U.N.K monsters. So in Foxy Tune's case, you discard a card, or discard Foxy Tune, I should say, and then you can special summon any non-level 8 P.U.N.K monster from your deck, and then you discard a card. Important to note that this is on resolution, so if you pitch this and they negate it, say with an Ash Blossom or something like that, you don't have to discard the card. That's one of the powerful things. It's also a starter that works with Cyphering Gear Gamma, which is pretty amazing. Now, a lot of people are familiar with the Madame Spider and Dangerous Gabu. So it's important to note the level 3s all add, by paying 600 life points, a respective card type. Zeamin adds a monster, and Madame Spider adds a trap card. Most people would play the Dangerous Gabu, which is basically an imperm you can set to your side of the field. I've chosen not to play those cards just because they're a little bit on the brickier side of things. Zeamin, the reason why we play the Ogre Dance is if you're only playing Zeamin, if you draw Foxy Tune, you don't necessarily have a way to get into 2 level 3s. So using this, we can Foxy Tune out the Zeamin. Zeamin cannot add the other Zeamin, so we can use this to add the Ogre Dance. The Ogre Dance will discard itself to add the second Zeamin to our hand, and then we can normal summon it, giving us 2 level 3s. So that's kind of the idea behind it. One of the big things that inspired me to do this is people that would play Beedroid Terratop and Takatonborg in their lists as a way to get Gossip Shadow out early. This actually is a little bit more powerful than that, not only because we can play more copies, because Terratop is at 1, you can't really play a bunch of extra copies. This does use our normal summon most of the time. If we don't draw Emergency Teleport, this will use your normal summon, so that's important to note. But we can use this to, if we have a good hand, set up that Gossip Shadow to protect us from Nibiru, Ash Blossom, even a Griffin Rider if you haven't managed to bait that out yet. Really powerful, just to allow us to actually go off a little bit. This doesn't require us to play any extra bricks. None of these cards are bricks to draw. Drawing level 3 tuners, perfectly fine for this deck. The normal synchro plays and Xyz plays would apply. So I'll explain a little bit more about this choice going into the extra deck and what it does for us, and I'll show you some in the combos. Alright, for spells, we play, of course, the 3 Emergency Teleport, 3 King-Long, and 3 Kowloon. I think playing the 3 King-Long is more important in this version than ever, just because there's extra ways to get it out of our hand. With the Foxy Tune, we can discard this. It reduces a lot of the times that you're stuck with King-Long Roshi in your hand. Just really powerful to be able to do this. We do like having extra copies, but it can be a little bit bricky. So some people have chose to trim it down to 2. I wouldn't in this version. This is just more consistent this way, and you have more ways to discard it. Emergency Teleport is extra special in this version, just simply because this can get us either into Virtual World plays by going straight into a Virtual World name like Nian Nian, and just going into that if we choose that. But if we have a subpar hand, we can actually go into value off of the Punk monsters, into a Gossip Shadow, or a Jaja, or something like that, to have another way to have more stuff out of our deck. So that's important. Lastly, of course, we play 3 Virtual World Traps. That would, of course, be the 2 Chuche and the 1 Zhanwu. I've seen some people want to cut Zhanwu recently. I wouldn't necessarily do that. This card does suck to draw, but it is important to have the 3 traps for those hands where we do draw a trap, but we still want to activate our Lulu in order to send a trap at a spell. Those give us additional material in our banish pile to actually activate the Chuche if we do flip it up by setting it, or if we do activate Kowloon to get it. So it is important to not just play the 2. Zhanwu is also a great extender. Perfectly fine discard too. You draw it again, you can discard it off your King-Long, you can discard it off your Foxy Tune, so that's perfectly fine. I'm playing kind of what I consider the minimum amount of hand traps for this format, which I'm playing 9. So I'll play 3 Infinite Impermanence, 3 Psyframe Gamma, and the Driver. This list is 41 cards just because of the Driver. I still consider it 9 hand traps even with this brick here. And then 3 Ash Blossom. All these hand traps are very good in this format. Infinite Impermanence not only stops Sword Soul monsters, Halqifibrax, Predaplant Verdanaconda, also just an overall pretty good board breaking card. Helps us against Scythe. So does Gamma. Gamma is pretty good in this version as well. We have more things to activate out of our hand. Like if we start with a Foxy Tune in order to do this, it's also just a great going second card. And Ash Blossom just hits just about everything in this format. So it's just important to have that extra bit of disruption so that you can be able to either slow down your opponent or manage to get them to stop from establishing a board. So very perfect. All right, let's do the extra deck here. So the 2 rank 3s I ended up playing are Bamboozling Gossip Shadow and Jaja. And I know probably what a lot of you are thinking, Bamboozling Gossip Shadow is a quite horrendous card. For those of you that don't know, it detaches 2 materials in order to negate a monster effect, and it changes that monster's effect to each player draws 1 card. So it's a pseudo negate. Usually when they're playing something really large like Nibiru that would stop our plays, this is really important. Trading that card, you will get a card back, but your opponent does draw a card for negating their monster effect. So it is really important to point that out. However, this is a negate that we can establish really early off of our Punk monsters. So that's why I'm playing it. Jaja is also a Virtual World name, for the times that we want to, say we have a Foxy Toon or a Zayaman in hand. This is a line if we need a Virtual World name on field to get that. It's important to note this does have a pretty high defense stat. It's 2400. So I would probably summon it in defense if you're going first. It also has an ability that at the end of damage calculation, if you have two monsters in your graveyard with the same name or different names and the same attribute and type, that it will banish the monster it battled. So important to note. Also, this card can just go wing second, go into Zeus. Speaking of Zeus, the other Xyz monsters, we of course play Zeus and Fan and Ptolemy. These are pretty standard. I'd say Fan and Ptolemy are pretty essential. Just ways to out different things our opponent has as well. We can recoup value. Say we Ash Blossomed earlier in the turn, or we discarded our Ash Blossom or Infinite Impermanence or something like that. We can recoup value in a couple of different ways. If it's a monster, we can add it back with Ptolemy. Just give us some extra interaction. Also, Fan floats whenever it dies. Really important to point out. A lot of people don't remember that part of the text, so they go to destroy it either by battle or by card effect, and it does float into monsters, so it's important. All right. For the synchro monsters, we're playing 3 level 3s, the same 3 level 3s I would always advocate you to play in Virtual World. The Coral Dragon and Stardust Charge Warrior as our kind of cantrippy cards. These both allow you to take 2 monsters that are level 3, turn them into a level 6, and allow you to draw a card in 2 different ways. Stardust does it on Synchro Summon and Coral Dragon when it's sent to the graveyard. It's important to point out that Coral Dragon is a tuner, which is important for some of the combos that you might do, whether that be with Zulkin, Crystal Wing, those sorts of things. Chuchu's just an overall good card. It's a Virtual World name. Protection from battle or destruction by card effects. You have the right cards in your graveyard. And in addition, it is a targeting send. So it can get around things that can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. But it does not get around targeting. That is the one weakness of this card. Playing 2 level 9s, Vermilion Dragon Mech and Shen. Vermilion Dragon Mech's an overall good card. It helps us play through either set back row or just face-up cards on the field just by popping them. It can also recoup us some value by adding back tuners. There are a couple of times where I've banished something like Ash Blossom, and this has come up to re-add it to my hand whenever it's destroyed by card effect. In addition, it makes that King Long Lili play viable if you only draw those 2 names and nothing else. Just overall pretty decent card. And of course Shen. I don't know if I have to say a whole lot more about Shen. One of the biggest reasons to play the deck. Decent Floodgate. Just an overall very good card. Comes back. Just very solid. Now this is probably the most surprising part of the deck, but I will explain it. We, of course, play Ultimaya, Zulkin, and Crystal Wing. But as well, I have chosen to play not only Mud Dragon and Kaliga, but I've also chosen to play Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. Now, the main reason why, we do end up having a lot more level 3 tuners on the field in our moderate to good hands with the Punk monsters. So it makes our access to Mud Dragon much higher. Now, a lot of the time, going Mud Dragon into Kaliga can be a little bit vulnerable. It's just not very good going second either. So I've chosen to play Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss as an alternative way. Maybe we don't have a way to make Zulkin, but we do have 3 level 3s, 2 of them being tuners. With the way that we push out Punk monsters, Punk combo alone is 2 level 3 tuners. So in that way, we can get to these cards more often, gives us more options, and kind of makes this all kind of blend together really well. Normally, you wouldn't want to just play Hot Red and Muddy. It's a little subpar, but giving us extra options by throwing the Kaliga in there, just still a very powerful combo. It does lose to things like Droplet, Chalice, things like that, but it is important to have that option if you want to do that. All right. Next part, we will go over some combos. All right, first combo, not really a combo so much as just how these cards play together, but I did want to show it anyway. So I'm going to showcase, if you draw any punk name, we play Amen, Foxy, and Ogre Dance. If you draw any punk name, what you do with just one virtual world name in hand. Okay, so this is kind of one of the ways where if you draw E-Telly, of course, you would go into a virtual world name straight away. But if you do draw these other PC engines, it does give you technical access to additional virtual world names. As well, if you play Badam Spider and Gabu, it will also add you a card back to your hand in order to set to either trigger Zulkin or just for further interaction on your opponent's turn. So I'll leave that part up to your choice. So if we draw Amen as our 5th card, we would normal summon our Amen, activate its effect, pay 600 life points, and in this case we would want to add Foxy Tune to our hand. Next we will pitch Foxy Tune to our graveyard. In order to activate its effect, especially summon another punk monster that isn't level 8 from our deck, we will summon another copy of Punk Amen. And then, of course, on resolution, we do have to discard that card, so we're just going to discard one of the Ash Blossoms in our hand in this example. So now we have 3 cards in hand. We can overlay these for our Jaw, because we do need a virtual world name in this hand. And we will target with our Gigi, and we can do our normal virtual world combos from here. So we could send King Long, go into a Lulu, do Lulu, add our Chuche. That will allow us to have any punk name plus any other virtual world name will end us on usually at bare minimum Shen Shen and Chuche. That is a really powerful thing where normally if you drew non-engine cards, say you play some other things, you would not be able to really go into much of anything from there. Alright, our next combination of cards is drawing a combination of a punk name, whether that be E-Telly or Amen, as well as a virtual world name, can be any virtual world name, and then a second way to get a virtual world. So this even works with 2 emergency teleports. So you need this combination of cards. It can be in a lot of different configurations, but the basics is 2 ways to get to a virtual world name, and then any punk card. And of course that has to not use your normal summon, because this combo will use our normal summon in this case. So let's just do Kowloon, Gigi, and Amen. So we'll start off by activating our Kowloon, of course, to get our Chuche face up from our deck. Then we will do our Gigi targeting our Chuche. We will send King Long, and it will be specialed out. You can kind of do this in whatever combination. If you want to bait out the negate with the punk monster, feel free to do that. It's probably the better part to lead with. And then we will normal summon our Amen, use its effect, add us a Foxy Tune. Foxy Tune pitch, just like the last combo. We'll discard a card and special the other Amen from our deck. Now, it's important to note that this right here alone is Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. You would synchro these 2 for Muddy Mud Dragon, and then you would synchro these for Hot Red. That allows us to put up a negate before we go for our Lulu here. It also allows us to just kind of generally have some better insulation there. You will notice that was kind of our 5th summon as well. So this could be against Nibiru. Maybe we have another virtual world name in hand instead of this Ash Blossom. But if we don't, we can King Long, do this, and go through our normal Lulu target Chuche, that kind of thing. So we'll Lulu target Chuche, and we'll add another monster. Let's say Roshi's pretty good here because we have a level 3 non-tuner virtual world in our graveyard. And then of course we have to discard a card for our King Long. then we can go target, send our Nyan Nyan from our deck. Roshi will bring back Gigi, which will trigger Nyan Nyan. And then from here we can go into Shen Shen. We can go into the Gossip Shadow. Really, kind of the world's your oyster at this point with this combo. But that's kind of the idea behind why we would play Hot Red alongside the Punk cards. As well, in Break Your Hands, like was shown previously, you can just use it to have a Virtual World name. Alright, that just about sums it up for the deck profile and just some of those brief combos. Just like I always encourage in all of my videos, feel free to tweak this list. You know, I am playing the 2 Zeoman, 2 Foxy Tune, and 1 Ogre Dance. You very easily could substitute the Zeoman and the Ogre Dance for a Madame Spider and a Dangerous Gabu. This does give you a little bit of a higher ceiling if you don't end up drawing the Gabu or the Spider in order to add the Gabu to your hand and give you kind of a little bit more value to make this package more worth it in some people's minds. I like the consistency that the Ogre Dance and the Zeoman kind of bring to the table. None of these cards are dead to draw. Unlike the Gabu and the, to a lesser extent, the Madame Spider. The Madame Spider can add you the trap, giving you a little bit of value back, and is still a level 3 tuner, but it won't lead you into the lines that I showed you if you draw just Madame Spider or just Gabu. So that's kind of the idea behind this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of the last video. I know a lot of people were excited for this video. What do you think about this idea? This is something I've play tested quite a bit online and has worked pretty well for me. So just let me know. I also, in the future, may do one with the Halqifibrax and Auroradon in the extra deck. You know, I don't think it's quite as good, though it does have a much higher ceiling. This is just a lot more consistent, and Virtual World is just known to be a deck that has some consistency issues. So this is looking to increase the ceiling just a little bit by adding Hot Red into the mix, and also give us some insulation against hand traps, and just consistency within our engine to see more Virtual World names. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much.